Civil society groups are gathering outside the Johannesburg Council Chambers in Braamfontein in Johannesburg. They're demanding what they term an improved and equitable water system from Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero. They say the Johannesburg water crisis has deepened into a human rights and economic emergency that has crippled essential services and endangered public health. SABC News reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa joins us live now from Braamfontein. Mbalenhle, thanks indeed for your time. I mean, the water crisis or the water challenges are nothing new. We've seen at national level as well some interventions from the minister, but clearly there are still some areas where some communities still complain about, getting access to water cuts, water throttling, and quite a number of issues relating to the supply of water. Talk to us a bit about that gathering taking place in Braamfontein.
Well, speaking of the water challenges, Criselda, you will remember that the community of Westbury and Coronationville took to the streets complaining and bemoaning the fact that their taps had run dry. We saw the mayor visiting that area in hopes to resolve that challenge. He initially had tried to supply the community with around 15 water tankers to relieve the water shortages and challenges there. He then went back there with other solutions, which involved throttling in other areas to ensure that that community also has water. But WaterCan and other civil society organizations are particularly unhappy with the way in which the water distribution and water supply in the city of Johannesburg has been handled. But before we go into this interview, I also want to just make you aware that DA mayoral candidate Helen Ziller is here to join the civil society organizations, but we're going to speak to WaterCan just to find out why exactly they have come here. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. Why are we here?
We're here because it's been years that Joburgers are experiencing water outages. It's not just months, it's not just weeks, and I think people are fed up. And the people who are attending today are from Soweto to parts of Sandton. So it's all people, and we are all coming together united to deal with the issues around water, and that's why we're here today.
And what would you like the mayor to do with regards to addressing this challenge?
We've sent our demands to the mayor. We want to see commitment to the mayor actually making those changes.
And with regards to the areas that have been affected, which areas have been affected by the water shortages, and what is the extent of the crisis? Are the taps completely running dry, or is the pressure just low?
No, taps are completely running dry. There are areas in Claremont that still don't have water. They've been struggling for about 13 years. There are informal settlements that don't have water. So I think that it's very widespread. We have a list of suburbs, like over 100, where they've all experienced some level of no water. And I think that is a problem.
And what about Soweto? I mean, the city of Johannesburg is not only made up of the suburbs. There's also townships such as Alexandra and Soweto. Have you done research to find out how they are affected there?
Absolutely. People from Soweto are here today. There are big issues in Soweto, whether it's Orlando West, whether it's across Soweto that people are experiencing no water. So this is something that, as I said earlier, it's from Soweto to Midrand. Everyone's being affected by water outages.
And what has in reaching out to the mayor and the office of the mayor and the officials here, what has been their response to you?
They haven't had a very good response. In fact, we haven't had they said they'll come, but they didn't respond to the one letter we got was that to tell us that officials only work Monday to Friday, 8 to 4. So we must change our protest. We said, no, we're going ahead with the protest, and the mayor said he'll be here. So let's see.
Okay, so you have gotten confirmation from the mayor that he will be here to receive a memorandum of demands. But before we discuss that, I saw you at the meeting, the community meeting with the mayor, where he explained the challenges and tried to bring in water tankers. Was that response not sufficient in terms of addressing the issues and explaining that they are working around the clock to try and remedy the situation?
The issue is that they can say all of these things at a meeting, but when you look on the ground, people are saying that they're not getting what they need. And yes, for that period, there were some water tankers. And we're saying that we're relying too heavy on water tankers. We want fixed systems, so people can open their tap and actually get water. That is what we're saying. We're saying that we need to ring fence the budget for Joburg Water. They keep saying yes, they're doing it, but if you look at it, if you unpack the budgets, they're not doing that.
So what would you like to hear? I mean, if they're saying that we're going to use water tankers as an interim solution, and then in the meantime we're going to try and resolve the problem, do you want timelines specifically? What exactly do you want? Is it not, are you unhappy with that response in particular?
I think relying on tankers firstly is a cop-out, but what we do want is, if you're going to use tankers, be transparent. Tell us how much you're spending on it. Tell us who the companies are, and tell us how long have they got their contract. I think that water tanker companies have got contracts for a year. Why? So that means that you're making it okay for them to exist for the year. So we need to stop that. You saw what happened in Tshwane, 777 million, even though the mayor says that's not what was spent. If you unpack it, at least 600 million rand was paid on tankers, water tankers. They could have fixed the water treatment plant. So we don't want the same in Joburg.
So what exactly I hear you saying is that you don't want water tankers, and you also want water coming out of the taps.
What I'm saying is, water tankers are a temporary measure. We want transparency and openness. Tell us how much you're spending on water tankers so we can see if it really is cost effective. And what we do want is for the systems to be fixed. We know it can't be fixed tomorrow, but we're saying that if you do what we're saying now, in 2 years we will have a sustainable water supply.
Now, I see that you've got the support of the Democratic Alliance. Okay.
We do not have support of the Democratic Alliance, or whoever they are. We do not have support of any political parties, but we cannot stop them from coming here. What we did tell them is, if they do come here, do not come in your party regalia. Come as human beings and citizens of Joburg. If you don't do that, then leave.
So what do you have to say now? I mean, the RDA members,
they need to be disciplined. They need to respect the fact that this is not their process. We worked very hard for this, and they cannot come in here and ride on the coattails of ordinary people who've built this movement. So that's what we're saying to them. They need to come here and be as ordinary as everyone else.
There you have it. That is Farrell Adams speaking to us. I'm going to ask my camera colleague, please bear with me, Criselda. I'm going to try and find the DA mayoral candidate, Helen Ziller, who was right behind me. And I'm just going to communicate with my camera colleague. The visuals are going to be shaky, but we're going to move into the crowd here to try and find the mayoral candidate. And as you can hear, there is some unhappiness with the organizers and the civil society organization that is here, expressing unhappiness with the fact that the Democratic Alliance has come to support them. Thank you so much. Hi. How are you, ma'am? I'm good. My name is Mbalenhle Mthethwa. I'm a reporter.
The beautiful flower.
Yes, Mbalenhle is correct. We would like to speak to you about your presence here. We are already live. Thank you again for allowing us to just doorstep you like this. Talk to us about why you are here.
I'm here to join in the protest about the dry taps and the water crisis in Johannesburg. I'm here like an ordinary citizen, an ordinary resident, with many of my colleagues who are here joining this march, which is open to the public, and we were all encouraged to come, and we're here.
Now, we know that you are the mayoral candidate for the city of Johannesburg, and listening to some of the concerns that have been raised by residents pertaining to the water challenges, what plans would you perhaps have in order to address this challenge?
Well, what we have identified is 22 critically endangered systems in Johannesburg water that need urgent attention. We've also identified the major crisis that money that comes in for water from citizens being billed for water is often used for other stuff. So the first thing we have to do is make sure that the money that comes in, the tariffs that come in for water, remain with water. and that they are used to fix firstly the critically endangered systems and then move on from there to repair everything. The sad thing in Johannesburg is that maintenance hasn't been done for so long that they're now in a real crisis. And what we need to do is fix things that should have been fixed 30 years ago before we can move ahead to plan for the future and to expand the network for future generations, as we should be doing.
And now, there have been criticisms with regards to the DA and accusations that the Democratic Alliance focuses on service delivery in the suburbs and not necessarily in the townships. You've heard this many a times. What do you then say to that? Because there are those who use Pretoria as an example, the Western Cape as an example, or Tshwane rather, the city of Tshwane as an example. What do you then say to those who are concerned that, you know, if you do indeed fix the problem or the water crisis, it will only be resolved in suburbs and not necessarily townships?
It doesn't work like that. First of all, it's a complete lie. If you go anywhere where the DA governs, you'll see that we spend much more money for the poor than for the middle class and the wealthy. Much more. So the important thing that we have to do is... It's shouting in the background. Yeah. Okay, can I keep going? All right, that's fine. In Johannesburg, the poor people are the ones who are suffering most because their systems have broken. That is where the systems have broken, and that is where they will be fixed first. Where the system needs fixing, we will be there.
Now, okay, some of the unhappiness here, some of the organizers, is that this is not a political event, and they are now accusing the Democratic Alliance, which has come here to show their support and their allegiance, of using this as a political party event. What do you make of this accusation?
You don't see any DA logos anywhere. We're here because we support the No Dry Taps campaign, and we're citizens just as much as anybody else is here. This problem has been caused by politics, by an ANC that steals money and doesn't use it for what it's intended. There's lots of ANC people here, and this problem won't be fixed unless a new party comes to power in Johannesburg. If the DA comes to power, we will fix this problem. So these issues are caused by politics and will have to be fixed through the political process.
Now, yesterday we saw a protest outside the High Court where SERI is taking the city of Johannesburg to court regarding the issues of illegal traders or informal traders in the inner city. What is your view? Should the city be prioritizing bylaw enforcement?
We have to have bylaw enforcement. Absolutely. Bylaws have to be enforced. We're a part of the rule of law. There's no point in having bylaws if they're not enforced, obviously. There should be spaces designated for informal trading. Yes, there should be. But public spaces are for the public. Pavements are for the public to walk on. There needs to be places where informal traders can trade, absolutely. But public spaces have to be respected for the public, and bylaws must be enforced.
So it seems as though you're agreeing with the government of the day, which is challenging and defending the decision to enforce bylaws and remove informal traders who don't possess permits to trade in the streets.
Are there places designated?
Yes, there are.
Of course there are. So the point is that traders must also abide by the law. The public have a right to use pavements and public spaces, and one group can't force other people to abandon their rights to advance what they say is their rights, but it's actually unlawful behavior.
Thank you. There you have it. That is the DA mayoral candidate, Helen Ziller, who says they are here as members of the public to highlight the issue of the water challenges in the community. But also, we've taken the opportunity to ask about what has been happening in the inner city. We know that the city of Johannesburg has embarked on a task to enforce bylaws and remove informal traders who are trading without valid permits in the city to ensure that the rights of those who need to use the pavements are not infringed upon. And we're hearing the Democratic Alliance in support of that court case and the city of Johannesburg's efforts to try and defend their right to enforce bylaws and ensure that the city of Johannesburg is clean and it is restored to its former glory. Now, as you can see, the protest or the picket here is continuing and has gone in full swing. These are the residents here, and many of the people here have placards, our city, our voices. Some of some of the placards are written, children are dying in fire accidents because there is no water, and others saying, end water injustice. These are the placards that are written here. Another one written on the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation placard says, our thirst is not political, it's human. Water for people before centers. As you can see, unhappiness all around from the people who have gathered here to protest about the water. But Watercan expressing serious unhappiness over the fact and the presence of political parties, even though they are not dressed in political regalia, saying that this is a civil society organization picket or protest and should not be overtaken by party politics. You heard, we're not certain if the mayor of Johannesburg will indeed come to receive the memorandum of demands. However, the Watercan representative saying that they did speak to him and he has made a commitment that he will come and present himself and to accept the memorandum of demands that will be handed over to them. For now, Criselda, it is back to you in studio.
Mbalenhle Mthethwa, thank you very much indeed. Live to us from Braamfontein. That's where civil society groups have gathered over the ongoing water crisis, the complaints about taps running dry, water throttling, and a number of issues relating to water. We've seen also quite a number of protests in Johannesburg relating to taps that have run dry, and the Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero has had to step in on a number of occasions to address some of the communities that have been upset about water challenges. Let's see if he will arrive at that particular protest today. All right, let's take you live to these visuals now in Braamfontein. Recall a bit earlier on, we'd spoken to our colleague Mbalenhle Mthethwa, who's a SABC News reporter, who's out in Braamfontein, where civil society groups have gathered over the water crisis that continues in Johannesburg. You'd recall over the past couple of months, we had seen a number of protests in areas including Coronationville here in Johannesburg, where residents had been without water for a number of weeks. And there had been, of course, some undertakings that the mayor, who you're seeing standing there, Dada Morero, had given to some of these affected communities, promising to sort out the situation. In an earlier interview that our colleague Mbalenhle Mthethwa had conducted with some of the residents who have turned out at that protest, they indicated that the taps were running dry. There's also water throttling that takes place, water shutoffs at particular times of the day. So there'd been a number of concerns about how this issue plans to be sorted out, and the mayor had given an undertaking, as we heard in an earlier interview with our colleague Mbalenhle Mthethwa, that he would accept a memorandum at that protest which is taking place in Braamfontein, and we do see he is on standby to do that. The residents, of course, are from various areas in Johannesburg, are out in their numbers in Braamfontein to express concern about persistent water challenges in Johannesburg. Let's take a listen to what some of the sentiments are that are being shared at that protest towards the mayor, who's expected to receive a memorandum of demands.
Innocence and renewal stink of disease, neglect and moral failure. Water is personal, water is spiritual. Nothing can grow with water without water. Water is life. To the leaders of Johannesburg and to the elected officials and to Johannesburg Water, we are not your enemies. We are your partners, ready to help rebuild trust and restore dignity. But we will not stay silent while our constitutional rights are ignored. We do not want your jobs, by the way. We just want you to do your jobs. And to every political party in this city, we see you. We see the games you play at our expense. The people of Johannesburg demand unity, honesty, and competence. Good luck. Not division and political theatre. If you cannot put residents first before your political parties and your agendas, then we don't want you. Right? All right. So in 1994, we queued for freedom. Today, we are risen, and we are here to reclaim the promise that was made. Good luck. Done.
Amanda. Siyabonga sizama ukushesha so that ama-officials while basaselana. However, wonke ama-speakers azokhuluma so that bayasizwa. Mele basizwe comrades. Mele sizwakale, siyawafuna amanzi, siyawafuna. Sifuna amanzi wamahala, siyawafuna. Amanzi awathengiswa. So, comrades, sizobisa the next speaker who represents the professionals and business for change. Nabo lawo ama-business siyacela ukuthi nabo asisebenzisaneni nabo abeze bazokhuluma ama-views wabo because without water nabo banezinkinga, ama-business wabo awakhona ukuqhubeka. So sibiza u-comrade Vuso Majija.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to be here today. I grew up in the Eastern Cape in the 1980s. I'm glad Reverend Mthethwa is here. At lunchtime, businesses used to close down and people used to march to the town hall and pray for water. We are having the same fight that we were praying for in the 1980s. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vuso Majija from the Professionals in Business for Change. Today's protest is important because it forms part of South Africa's reawakening. There is a general reawakening towards a better country. The formation of the GNU, the slow but intentional implementation of Operation Mbalenhle, the upcoming local government elections next year, all of these things together are reawakening the most important thing, a more active citizen like you. Sustainable water provision is a national concern. In fact, it is a continental concern. Today, you have taken a stand as Johannesburg citizens to say that you demand and you will action positive change in our city. As the economic hub of the country, Johannesburg will inspire other regions to take similar action. Our organization, Professionals in Business for Change, is formed to attract, organize professionals, black, Indian, colored, white, all of them, to play an active role in our communities and, more importantly, in public office. We believe that one of the reasons for the poor state of our municipalities is that they fail to attract competent and ethical professionals. We need to change the working environment in our municipalities so that they can attract the best and most capable people. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no Messiah that is coming to save us. We, the citizens of South Africa, are the Messiah we have been waiting for. This protest is a call to action for Johannesburg citizens to fix their own city. Ladies and gentlemen, are you still with me? Yes. Johannesburg is supposed to be a world-class city, right? Yeah. We have world-class African residents, professionals, and business people, right? We therefore demand world-class African service, and we are ready to take action. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say this. Viva a world-class African city. Viva. Viva City of Johannesburg. Viva. I thank you.
Brigade,
As we continue hearing from the voices of the residents of the city of Joburg, I'm calling up Simpiwe Zwane from Mbalenhle, who's going to be our next speaker. Amandla! Amandla! Phambili ngabahlali phambili! Phambili ngabahlali phambili! Ngicela ukukhuluma nemeya. Ngoba inkinga zethu thina siyazazi njengoba sila. Hopefully imeya izongizwa because bahlale ema-suburbs, bahlale baphuza amanzi athengiwayo ngoba baya-afforda. Thina silala singanawo amanzi wokuphuza. Kunemusho othiwa bathi education is a key. So ingane zethu zithola kanjani i-key if they are going to go to school ngo-8 ngo-10 baphume kuthiwa akunamanzi. Ingane zethu thina singabantu siphephela kubi because i-health asikwazi ukuyi-maintaina kahle because we can't even wash our hands when they told us we need to wash our hands time and a time. Sihlale endaweni ezinjani ezihlengile kodwa asikwazi. So ngithi kumeya today impilo zethu zisengozini. Like person ofana nami ohlala eThembelike ku-informal settlement where I need ukuthi ngiphume ebusuku ngiyokha amanzi ngo-2 a.m. where ubugebengu budlangile kangaka kuyabulawa abantu abanjwa inkunzi. We are robbed of our belongings because of the city of the Joburg. So ngithi ngalokho umeya nabantu bakhe the councillors, it is time now to come down on the ground. It's one of the solutions that I'm saying. We want to see them where they'll go. Why how do we solve this? So those things that you want, those things are the things that we want. Service delivery is coming to the people. We are tired of that song. Come down and work with the community so that we can give you the solutions. Infrastructure. The leakage that we see, we have solutions to solve them. We don't need Joburg water. We have the unemployment rate that is too much. We have numbers within our communities that they can fix. Asiwafuni amanzi aprivatiziwe. Sifuna amanzi ngoba amanzi ayimpilo. Amandla. We are the women. No woman no cry because of struggle. No woman no cry. We are the women. No woman no cry because of struggle. No woman no cry. So zabalaza, zabalaza, zabalaza. So zabalaza, zabalaza, zabalaza. So zabalaza, zabalaza, zabalaza. So
All right, so we'll take you back to Braamfontein once the Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero takes to the podium, and of course he's expected to accept a memorandum of demands from civil society groups that are gathered outside the Johannesburg Council Chambers here in Braamfontein in Johannesburg over complaints of water challenges, ongoing water challenges in the city. And we'll take you back once he takes to the podium. Let's see how he plans to address some of the concerns that those communities are raising.
I've been a resident of Mthethwa for over 20 years, yet over the last 3 years we've had nightly water sharing from 8 p.m. every night till 6 a.m. every morning. And that's excluding the cutouts for several days that you've all experienced as well. This is purely down to the cracks in the Hurst Hill Reservoir that have been known by the city for years. And nothing has been done. Not proactive maintenance, not preventative maintenance, nothing. Money isn't being ring-fenced and controlled and properly monitored and allocated to Joburg Water. So there's not sufficient money for them to do this work.
All right, we'll take you back.